every 4 years we marvel at the discipline, the strength, the courage that Olympians show. I read that the founder, or the person who resurrected the Olympics of sorts, said that the goal for the Olympics was global harmony, which I hadn't heard before. But Tara, do you think the Olympics are worth the cost?
You know, I always worried about, you know, how excessive the Olympics have become with each Olympics. You know, it's like it has to be flashier, fancier, et cetera. And so this was something I in general worried about. But until I really researched this, I did not realize just how much of a money drain this is on almost every country that has hosted the Olympics. And increasingly, I don't think it's worth it. Yes, we have this wonderful couple of weeks where, you know, we sort of watch athletes and we're in awe of their excellence and et cetera. But just to give you one example, the cost overruns for the Olympics from 1968 through 2010 in the Summer Olympics was 252%. In the Winter Olympics was 135%.
Over a previous year?
Over the budgeted amount.
I
and
gotcha.
In fact, it's sort of a well-known secret, let's put it that way, that there's the budget that is proposed by whatever country's Olympic committee, and then there's the actual what they spend. Another problem is that most of these Olympic sites end up basically being a drain on the economy afterwards, in the sense that one of the things that happens is the poor are typically moved out so that the Olympic villages and sites can be built. And then afterwards, yes, there's some effort to try and reuse them, but typically it never equals the cost of building the Olympic villages.
But I wonder, Anirban, I mean, Paris looked lovely in those opening ceremonies. It made me want to go again to Paris. Is the branding helpful for those cities?
I would tend to agree with Sarah, right? Olympics, with Tara, Olympics tend to leave behind it a vast swath of unused infrastructure, which is very wasteful in terms of money. Paris is trying to do something a little bit differently. They have these kind of mixed-use spaces for athletes, which will be later on used for other things. But you know, the residents of Saint-Denis were not happy that they were evicted due to this issue. And apparently one US triathlete was microdosing on E. coli because the Seine is so dirty apparently that he wanted to be immune to E. coli. On the whole, look, it's a show business, right? Coco Joff was there. She was complaining about the housing situation there and the food. It's difficult to not have Olympics. It's something we grew up with. It's something as a part of world culture, if there is a world culture. But I guess because scholars are much more and other urban planners are much more cognizant about these issues, we might have a different tact where you have less cost runs and so on. But I do think Paris, it's a branding and everybody wants it, even if sometimes it makes it bad for the local population.
Surprisingly, I'm going to push back a little bit. Barcelona, Spain is a great example of taking the site of where the Olympics were at and actually flipping the economy, and where the richer areas of town were after the Olympics moved out. That became the area of affluent people buying up the areas and places that were already built. Back to the opening, I happen to be, I guess, the only person on this panel that was not super excited by all of the opening. I think that it should represent the values that Olympics puts forward, which is excellence, respect, and friendship. Yes, freedom of expression is limited only by respect for others, and it should represent the values of others. And I think when you cross lines that are making fun of other people's religion, I think at that point it's not respectful.
What's your take?
I'm a fan of the Olympics, and I agree that we could do it better. And one of my thoughts was, why don't we just pick one city like Athens or something and just do it there, the Summer Olympics every 4 years there, and the world can pitch in to cover the cost rather than having to build all these structures and around the world. And in terms of the Winter Olympics, that's going to be, you got to pick someone where really cold because we have climate change and they're really struggling. to even put on some of these events at the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, because of disappearing snow. But I would say about Paris too, the fact that the Seine hasn't been swum in 100 years and they did it, I think is pretty impressive, and it just shows we can solve problems like polluted water if we really put our mind to it and put the effort and the money into cleaning up our rivers. So in a sense, the Olympics can provide an example of yeah, we can do this. And Paris is trying to have a smaller environmental footprint, and I think that that's been a good development.
Well, the next ones are coming up in Italy, and then they'll be back here in the States in LA.